Good morning. Welcome to Passion Point, a show about your passion, your purpose, your potential. My name is Irene Becker, and today I'm being joined by two entrepreneurs. In fact, our show today is about the passion behind entrepreneurship. What makes someone want to become an entrepreneur? How is it their passion? My first guest, Penn, is going to tell us all about that. My second guest, Naveed Hyder, is one of the foremost stagers in Toronto, and she's going to tell us how she moved from the corporate machine to setting up a business she's passionate about. Are you curious? Stressed? Frustrated? Well, get prepared for Passion Point when we crank it up with Penn. Thank you so much. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Passion Point. My name is Irene Becker, and this is a show about your passion, your purpose, and your potential. Today we're talking about entrepreneurship. What makes it someone's passion? And we're starting with Penn, a man whose entire career has been spent as an entrepreneur and who's developed a unique business around something that resonates with me profoundly: appreciation. Welcome.
Thank you, Irene. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to have you here. So, tell us, how did you become an entrepreneur? Why an entrepreneur?
Well, I grew up with it. My late father and his father established the business in Glasgow, Scotland, 1900.
Oh, wow.
And so from basically when I was able to walk, I was taken into the business and just loved it.
What kind of business were they in, Alan?
Well, it was a wholesale business, and they would sell things like gents wear and baby wear and women's wear, and you know, as a kid, I would go there. I would serve behind the counter, and I think when I was about 9 or 10.
And you must have been the best dressed boy at school.
Well, in those days, Irene, you had to have a school uniform. So I would have been, though.
Okay. So tell me, you made the transition from Scotland to Toronto.
Yeah.
Tell me about, you're passionate about entrepreneurship. Now you've gone through different careers as an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. You were in the insurance industry, you were in the apparel industry. What made you decide to become an expert on appreciation and marketing?
Well, it's something that has always been instilled into me. My father, you know, was my inspiration, and he used to be a stickler for thanking people. You know, writing notes. When we received a gift as a kid, as soon as we got the gift, we had to write a thank you note. And so I realized that appreciating others was very important. And as I progressed through business, one of the things that I used to do was I always would send my suppliers thank you cards, Christmas cards, gifts, which was something that wasn't normally done. Most times buyers typically would expect to receive gifts. You know, they're the buyer. So, you know, if it wasn't for them, you know, the supplier wouldn't be in business. I had a different attitude. I felt that if it wasn't for the supplier, I wouldn't be in business. So you recognized appreciation then as not only a marketing tool, but I'm sure something that spoke to you as a human being. What we don't appreciate, you know, appreciation is such a tool for validation of others, and it's something that makes us feel good too, because we're reaching out to another. That's right. Now, would you say, when you think about appreciation and marketing, to me the two go hand in hand, and your interest in both is really important, because the price of entry into the marketplace is lower than it's ever been, right? I mean, it's easier to start a business, it's easier to put up a website, and we're all bombarded by more and more information. But what makes you remember a supplier? What makes you remember someone that you want to do business with? I think that you resonate with them and they know that they appreciate you. Well, I hope so. I realized that businesses were not appreciating enough. And I knew that from my own experience. I remember particularly an experience I had where I had a mortgage, and I was with a particular company, and I decided to close that mortgage and go to somebody else. And all of a sudden I got a phone call from that company, the original company, and asking me, you know, why I wanted to change and why I hadn't given them the opportunity. And I was very polite, but really the real reason was at no time did they ever acknowledge the fact that, or appreciate the fact that I was a customer at any time. It was only when I, you know, said that I wanted to leave, that's when they kicked into action. And I asked myself a question: how many businesses are losing clients because the client doesn't feel appreciated?
And in this marketplace, I think it is a really, really critical question.
Yeah.
I mean, you really need to develop a community of clients, a community of followers. And how do you do that when the person who's purchasing from you doesn't feel appreciated?
Right.
So I guess if people want to know how to do appreciation marketing, you're the man they should contact.
Definitely.
And when you think about appreciation, though, Alan, in terms of our lives and what we're living through, it has a much greater message. You know, we have to appreciate our clients, we have to appreciate our lives, we have to start using the challenges we face as opportunities. And I'm thinking, you know, in your career in entrepreneurship, for people watching who want to know about entrepreneurship, do I want to be an entrepreneur? Is it for me? What advice would you give them? What have you learned in your journey about entrepreneurship?
Well, that's a really good question. I think that, first of all, you have to find something that you're passionate about. There's no point in going into something just because you think you're going to make a lot of money out of it. Because people will smell it. People will sense it.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, it's quite incredible. Yeah.
So that's important. You have to be passionate about what you're doing.
And authentic.
Sincere.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have to also be willing to take that risk. You know, there's a great poem called Risks. I don't know if you've come across it, but just Google it.
I will.
And the last line says, only the person who risks is free. Really resonated with me.
Okay, audience, we've got to look up the poem Risks on Google that Alan Penn just recommended, because only the person who risks is free is a quote from that, and it's so true. Life is a risk, but it's a risk worth taking, and appreciation is one of the greatest parts in life.
Exactly, and I remember there was a very, I was sent an article while I was here. It was in a British magazine. There was a fellow called, I think his name was Ronson, and he was similar to, what's the Lord Black. Very similar. He was an entrepreneur. He had many businesses. In all aspects, entertainment and hotels and this kind of stuff. And he was being interviewed, and the interviewer said to him, Mr. Ronson, you have on a daily basis so many decisions that you need to make. And for most people, making one decision is a task. How do you do it? He says, well, he says, I know that if I'm right 51% of the time, I'm going to make a profit. And so the message that came from that is it's okay to fail 49% of the time. You know, most people, when they don't set out as entrepreneurs, they've got the ideas, but they don't carry them through because they're afraid of failing.
Oh, for sure, Alan, but today the reality is that we all have to learn to fail forward.
Yes.
I mean, it's not the same arena whether you're an entrepreneur or not. And I think you have a really strong message. I mean, Alan Penn is about finding a way to appreciate your customers. His business is appreciation marketing. It resonates with my head, my heart, and I think that today we live at a time of great challenge and great opportunity. Opportunity to appreciate, opportunity to transform, opportunity to really engage our potential. Alan Penn is the man for appreciation marketing. Alan, how does our audience get in contact with you to find out more about how they can use appreciation in terms of their marketing?
Well, they can certainly contact me.
What's your number,
through,
Alan?
Email.
Yes.
My number is my phone number?
Yeah.
647-280-1007. My email is alan@youmeanalot.com. So.
Oh, youmeanalot.com. That's so nice.
You mean a lot.
Okay.
And the website is www.youmeanalot.com. And I'd be more than happy to explain how it is that I do what I do.
Okay,
it's
terrific.
simple and it's fun. Terrific. And it works. It's effective.
Simple, fun, and works. Alan Penn, Appreciation Marketing. Appreciate the day. Get ready to crank it up soon with our next guest, Naveed, who is going to tell us about what she's passionate about and how she moved from the corporate machine to entrepreneurship to build an absolutely tremendous business. Stay tuned for more Passion Point. Welcome back to Passion Point. My name is Irene Becker, and we're going to crank it up with my next guest, Naveed Hyder. Naveed is a top interior designer who also does staging, and of equal importance, she's a woman that left corporate life to follow her passion. And when I talk to Naveed about what she does, the excitement that she has for her work was so reflected in the story she told me and in the testimonials of her clients. Really awesome. Naveed, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Hi. So Naveed, tell us about finding your passion.
The passion was always there, but it was more like a dream which I thought I will never be able to achieve. You know, like all through my life, I grew up with influenced by art in my household. My sisters are artists.
And you're an artist too, are you not?
I'm an artist. My children, my youngest daughter, she's a sculptor.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yeah, she just graduated. So like it's in our blood.
But art was not your professional track.
Yes, art was not. It was all, you know, like in those days people thought that, okay, you can study art because you're
But
creative.
you have to work at something else.
But you have to work to make money. And so that's why growing up I thought, okay, what do I want to do? Like, did other things to make money, but my passion was still there, cooking up inside me.
Okay, so your passion's cooking up, and you're doing the right thing, which is doing a good job at work
Yes.
to make money.
And then raising the family.
And raising the family.
Just
So you've
going
got
on.
many hats.
Many hats.
A woman of
as
many
all-
hats and talents, as all women.
But I remember like saying to my kids when they were younger that one day I will have my own company and I will be doing interiors. And I would say it on and off, not realizing what I'm saying actually. When we moved to Canada, got a corporate job, you know, started my corporate life. And I think the corporate world drove me to the point.
Oh, really? Oh, so tell me about that. That's very interesting.
It drove me to a point where I felt disconnected with myself. And they were great people. We used to have a lot of fun. And I'm still friends with a lot of them, and I see them often. But there was something missing inside me. So I took the plunge, took the leap of faith. And it was very scary. Very, very scary,
sure.
giving up like a regular income and saying, okay, I want to do this.
And I'm going to do it.
And I'm going to do it. The money is going to come from somewhere. I don't know where.
Oh, wow.
And my family supported me when I decided to do this. In fact, my oldest daughter, when I was debating, should I leave the job, should I not leave the job? And she said to me, she's like, Mom, if you don't do it now, you'll never do it. Because all your life you've said, I want to do this. So this is your chance. If you don't do it today, then I don't want to hear you saying. I'm like,
Awesome.
oh my
Now
God,
you
like
had no
I'm
choice.
pushed to a corner.
Yeah.
I have to
I have
come
to
up.
move forward.
So it's a do or die situation.
Yeah. So you move forward, but what's amazing is not only that you move forward, but that in such a highly competitive field.
It is very competitive.
I mean, you have really risen to the top, and you do an amazing job, whether it's interior design or staging. I mean, your site is just beautiful. What does it feel like for you now that you're living your passion, that you're living the dream? What does it feel like?
So exciting. You know,
Yeah.
every night I go to bed, I thank God.
Oh.
Every morning I wake up, and you know, it's not been easy.
It's never easy.
And you would know, like, what it's like. Like, one day is good, and you're like, oh, you know.
Oh, it's the manic trip when you're an entrepreneur.
I met the
Yeah.
perfect person. Okay,
Yeah.
now I'm
Yeah.
going to make it. And the next day you realize, no, that was all phony. And you're like, so it's a roller coaster ride, you know,
Yeah,
up and
it
down,
is.
up and down. But it's been a fun ride. I am very grateful for doing what I love doing. And it's like when I walk into like last night, I walked into this client's home, and I was like so excited to see, you know, the potential of the home, the potential of what we can create. And I think the best part is that I create something for their personality with my creativity. So my creativity is the garnish on top of their personality
But
and what works for them.
What's interesting about that is that in terms of your interior design, you're really building the design around the personality of the client. But in terms of staging, you need to build the design around the market and what's
Market.
going to make it a hot
It's very
sell.
different.
So it's
yes.
really different.
Very, very different. And so many times, you know, I walk into, especially if the client is living in their home.
Yeah.
And when I tell them, move this from here, and they're resistant because they love it like that. And I tell them that, you know, you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the buyers. You have to showcase the potential of the home, how big this space is, what they can do in this space. They have to envision themselves living in the space the minute they walk in. If they don't, they're not going to buy it. 99% of the properties that I've staged have sold within the first month.
Wow.
And
I really think in terms of staging, Naveed, for someone who lives in a house, to be able to step back from their own stuff and understand that they have to arrange things so that it speaks to the purchaser, it's really hard.
it's very hard. It's very hard, even for decorating purposes in your own space, or for that matter, any issue that you have, any problem that you have. It's very hard to find a solution because you're so close to it. It's right in your face.
Yes.
And a lot of times what I do is I detach myself and I pretend it's somebody else's problem. How would I, you know, guide them or coach them? And it's the same with decorating. Like, I walk into people's homes and give them ideas. Oh, this is how I can redesign your kitchen. And they're like, oh, why didn't we think of that?
Well, but I also think that you're an artist and you're talented and this work is your passion.
It is.
So when you go in, your optic is the optic of an expert. I mean, Naveed, I once had a home that was in a decorating magazine, and I can't tell you it was me. It was the decorator. I mean, you could give me 5 color swatches and a week to pick a color, and I'm visually challenged. I couldn't do it.
You
And
know,
a lot of people
I'm
have a
glad you
hard time.
brought this color thing up, because a lot of times I meet people socially at dinner parties
Yeah.
here and there, and they say, you know, can I paint my kitchen green? And I'm like, it's not just one color. It's the whole ambience. It's the whole, first of all, what are you trying to achieve? What else is there in the space? What kind of light is coming in?
And what kind of energy do you want?
What kind of energy do you want? You know, like,
I mean, you also do a lot around feng shui, don't you?
Yes, I do add feng shui elements to the interiors, and I wouldn't call myself a feng shui consultant because feng shui is a science on its own. But the basic principles came to me, like when I was doing the certification for feng shui, I realized I was already implementing those elements or adding those elements in my space intuitively. And it was kind of reassuring for myself that, okay, whatever I sense or whatever I feel, is I'm on the right path.
For sure, but because that's your passion, I think that there's an intuitive anchor.
Yes.
And you are going to look at a space and see it differently and be able to offer that to the client.
Yes.
But I'm really curious. I have two questions for you. In terms of somebody who's considering interior design or who wants to really ramp up their space, what should their first focus be? Like, should they be focusing on what they need? Should they be focusing on the energy they want? Should they, like, what should their focus be?
The way I ask my clients is I tell them to give me the ideal scenario about the space. Let's say this is the space you're talking about. I say, give me a perfect scenario that you walk into the space. What is it that you want? Like, so that's when they start thinking and they say, oh, especially if it's a kitchen, and they walk in and they say, it's dysfunctional. I hate coming into my kitchen. I do not cook. I want it to be a hub for the family. I want it to be entertained, you know, where I can entertain my guests. And they would give me like a few pointers. I don't have a set of questions that I ask every client because I don't believe in one size fits all. We're all individuals. We have our own unique personalities, and I create the space around their personality. And I think that's the funnest part of the
Oh,
whole
yeah. I mean, I think that's really great. So when you hire Naveed, Naveed will create the space around your personality. I think that's tremendous. But I think, and it's not that I mean to obsess about your staging business, but your record of success is just tremendous.
It has been amazing.
I mean,
I'm
it's
blessed to-
incredible. So what is a staging secret you can share with us?
You just have to look at the house and look at the target market. I do also look at who's going to be the potential buyer. And if you see the properties that I've staged, you will see that one is very different from the other.
Yeah.
The colors that I use, I did one townhome at King and Bathurst last year, yes, and that's like a funky area.
Yeah, it is. It's a fun
Entertainment
area.
industry,
Yeah.
you know, like people like to entertain over there. Media, PR, you know, like all those kind of people were my target market. So I was very bold to make it into a very funky space. And I used 2 leather chairs, red in color, but they were very different styles.
Oh, interesting.
And when I was picking those, the place where I rent the furniture, she's like, are you sure you want to do it? I said, yeah, that's my target market. I'm going to do it. They're going to appreciate this. Whereas if I was doing a property at Danforth,
It would be different.
it
Or
would be
Forest
very
Hill
different. It
See
would be
that?
very different.
That's such a plus, though. So
But
you really know the market.
You really have to understand the target market. And I'm not an expert at markets. You know, that's the realtors.
No,
niche.
but you're an expert at interiors and designing them so that they resonate with the personality of the client.
Exactly. What would appeal to them?
And the
you know?
market.
If it's a 3-bedroom space, then that means that it's a couple with a baby or 2 children. So then it's catered towards that, where there's space for the children to play, or you know, some little element that resonates with them, and they say, oh, wow, my kids will be so happy in this home, you know.
Naveed, interior design and staging are your passion. Tell our audience, how can they reach you?
They can reach me at 416-629-2040, or they can visit my website at www.artoflivingcanada.com.
Welcome back to the wrap-up for Passion Point, a show about your passion, your purpose, your potential. Today I was joined by Alan Penn, a man whose specialty is appreciation marketing, and by Naveed Hyder, an interior designer and stager who is at the top of the professional design chart in Toronto. They both, we talked about entrepreneurship. What does it mean? Why is it their passion? How did they get there? They both have done amazing results, have had amazing results for clients, and are passionate entrepreneurs. I want to thank you so much, Alan Penn. If someone wants to know about appreciation marketing, they need to go to your website, youmeanalot.com, great name. And Naveed, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure to have you on. And to contact you, our viewers can go to The Art of Living. Canada.com. So you mean a lot, The Art of Living. Audience, you mean a lot, you do a lot. Grab your passion, your purpose, your potential, and have a great week.